Hello everyone, this is Dethimap here. I'm going to be going through a full tour of my Minecraft clue card dealer machine, made entirely out of redstone, no command blocks or other modern techniques, pure redstone. So, this machine will separate the answers, randomly selecting one from each category: person, weapon, and location, and send them to this answer box, as well as combining the rest of the items, shuffling them, and then assigning them to each player, giving each player 3 items. Now this is under the assumption that you're going with a 6-player game. Otherwise, you would need to change the format and the timing of the bottom section here. Anyways, let's get started. So it all starts with turning on this button, which will send the redstone signal, alternating the torches here, eventually turning on this signal, which will go in 2 different directions. One direction will turn off this torch, turning off this repeater, which will in turn turn off this repeater, this lock I should say, which will make this redstone signal that is currently locked into place disappear, which will as well turn on this torch again, creating a redstone signal which will go in a loop if not blocked by this repeater. And due to this being a button, this torch will only turn off long enough for this torch to turn on. So this repeater will be blocking the signal, so this will be turned on permanently, creating a lock system for this repeater. So any more button presses will no longer be accepted. It will be blocked off. This line of redstone is from an alternate button I have just for testing purposes, which will, the other direction the redstone will be sent will be up here, being sent this direction over each dropper. So it will randomly drop 1 item from each place, represented by diamond, iron, and gold items. The gold items being the locations, since there are 9. It will drop them into this little pit of hoppers, which are all connected, and it will be sent down this direction into the answers box. Now after that signal is all set and done, it will be sent this way through these repeaters, creating another lock system similar to that of the start. So any future redstone signals from this direction will no longer go through. It will also go down here, turning off this torch, which will turn on this redstone signal, going this direction to extend each of these chests. Now each of these chests have a very careful timing on these repeaters. It's the same timing for each of the chests. You want to extend this chest first, or this piston first, then this piston when it reaches here, which will put the chest underneath each of these droppers. And then the redstone signal will be sent this direction at a delay, so it gives time to put the chests underneath, which will turn off this torch permanently, creating a redstone timer. So the signal will be going around in a circle repeatedly, which will rapidly turn on each dropper, dispensing the rest of the items into each chest until each dropper is empty. As soon as this final dropper is empty, it will turn off this comparator, thus turning off the redstone signal. the redstone signal will turn off this sticky piston, retracting it and turning on the observer at just enough of a delay to turn off this redstone torch, to activate this redstone torch, which will in turn turn off this redstone signal, retracting each of these chests back into the original position, again due to how I have the timing of each of these repeaters set up, as well as turning on this torch again, stopping this redstone's timer. So as soon as these chests come over here, they will be placed over these hoppers, which will be part of phase 2 of the build, which will be shuffling and mixing the rest of the items. Each of these hopper lines has exactly 9 hoppers, and they meet in the center here. So each item will be placed in these hoppers, and then it will be starting to be dropped into this dropper here. As soon as one item enters the dropper, this signal will be just strong enough to activate this repeater, turning off this torch, which will in turn turn on this torch, which will extend this chest underneath the dropper, as well as turning off this signal, turning off this lock. Now this lock doesn't do anything yet since this part is also locked. However, this becomes important later. And as soon as this dropper is full of 9 items, the signal will be just strong enough to reach this repeater, turning off this torch, retracting this item, this block, turning on the observer for just long enough to activate this lock. So this repeater will be locked into an on position despite whatever happens to the redstone over here, which will keep this piston retracted permanently. It will also turn off this torch, which will turn on this redstone signal, which will turn off this torch, turning off this lock, which will in turn create another timer, which will create a signal that will dispense the items from this dropper into the chest underneath. As soon as one item leaves the dropper, another one will exit the hopper into the dropper. And as the items grow less and less in the dropper, so too does the signal strength of this line decreases. As soon as all items exit the dropper, this signal will be just weak enough to turn off completely. Excuse me. Which will in turn turn off this signal again, turning on this torch, turning off this torch, which will retract the chest, as well as turning on this signal, which will lock this timer, turning the timer off. Now that's it for phase 2, which will now turn to phase 3, which was distributing the items evenly. The chest will be pulled over this hopper, which will dispense the items into this chest, which will activate this comparator. As soon as one item enters the chest, this piston will extend. Excuse me, it's tough to move around down here. This piston will extend, activating the observer, which will turn off this redstone signal, which will allow this hopper to be able to dispense items, because when a redstone signal is touching a hopper, it blocks off the ability for it to dispense items into chests or other hoppers. So that will dispense the items into this minecart chest, At the same time, it will activate these row of repeaters at a very long delay, giving enough time for the chest to be filled. And as soon as it reaches this point, the chest will be sent off in the minecart. It has just enough time for the cart to be filled with all of the items. So it will be sent along this track, going around in a circle. Each time it goes over one of these hoppers, it dispenses one item into the hoppers, which will in turn be sent to each chest. At the same time, the redstone signal will be sent through these repeaters at a delay for just long enough for the minecart to go around the track at least 3 times, which will activate this piston, turning on this observer for just long enough for this torch to turn off, turning on this redstone signal, and this redstone signal will turn off this track, creating a stopping point. The powered rail will be turned off, so the minecart will stop here. This is optional, as quite frankly the minecart won't do anything if it keeps rolling, but I just want it to stop so the noise isn't consistent. As well as turning on this block, which will turn off this signal, turning on this torch to create a lock. So even after the redstone signal stops here, it will still be turned on, keeping this piston extended. Now after the cart stops, each chest will be filled with 3 items. Why don't we give a demonstration here? Getting a little disoriented. As you can see, the lock is on. The pistons are extended. The redstone signal is being turned on and off. And the chest is finally filled. It will start being sent through the hopper, turning on this signal. And it will be starting to dispense the items from the dropper. And as soon as that chest is filled, it'll start dispensing items into this chest. Now it's all set. It goes along the rails. And there you have it. So each of these chests has 3 items randomly selected and distributed. And these are the cards that each player will have. And as you can see, the Answers over here has 1 item. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy whatever I do in the future. Take care.